a new study recently released suggests that contrary to previous reports and previous research, which said that conservatives are happier than liberals, this new study suggests that it's likely that liberals are happier than conservatives. If that's the case, first of all, what went wrong? Why did researchers believe that conservatives were happier if, in fact, liberals were happier? Simple reason, because conservatives say they're happier. When people are asked to report their own state of happiness, conservatives tell researchers that they are happy more often than liberals do. But a new study went a little further. It didn't just take people's word for whether they were happy or not. It asked them about their behavior, what they do, what they say. In fact, what they did, if you want to know the exact methodology, they looked at the frequency of smiling and the use of positive language, which have been shown to correlate with actual human happiness. What they found out is, voila, by a small amount, but measurable, liberals are actually happier. Conservatives just say they are. So that's one more thing you can't trust you can't trust conservatives about is they'll even say they're happy when they're not. Now, it must be hard to be happy when you're a conservative because you have to have heroes who say things like this. Rudy Giuliani, the for some reason, inexplicably popular conservative icon. I mean, look, why is this guy popular? Sure, he was mayor of New York during 9/11, but we now know, for example, that he refused to buy the communication equipment that would allow firefighters and police officers to talk to one another, and that may have led to significant loss of life. So he does not deserve any of the reputation he has gained from his shameless exploitation of 9/11. But that isn't the worst thing Rudy Giuliani has done. This week, Rudy Giuliani said that he wishes that President Obama was more like, get this, Bill Cosby. Right. You think it gets as bad as it's going to get with Rudy Giuliani, and it gets worse. He was speaking with a talk radio host in New York, John Gambling, who's well known in that city. The former New York City mayor, Giuliani, said that Obama was ignoring, quote, an enormous amount of crime. Weird thing to say, because it was committed by Black Americans. And so as part of Giuliani's proof of his lunatic assertion, he said, the scuffle at a Brooklyn McDonald's and the shooting of two Ferguson police officers early Thursday showed that Obama doesn't care about crime when it's committed by Black people. Of course, nothing could be further from the truth. Eric Holder strongly condemned those shootings. The president has condemned them as well. And if, in fact, the president has not weighed in on a scuffle at a Brooklyn McDonald's, well, let's just say he's not God. His eye is not on the sparrow. He can't be everywhere. So if there's a scuffle in a Brooklyn McDonald's that the president neglected to chide Black people for, then I'm sure he regrets that deeply. But then Rudy Giuliani said, quote, I hate to mention it because of what happened afterwards, but he, meaning the president, should say the kinds of stuff that Bill Cosby used to say, end quote. Now, by the kind of stuff Bill Cosby used to say, I assume he doesn't mean, here, honey, drink this. I assume that what he means is when Bill Cosby used to chastise young Black people, pull the fellas, pull your pants up or whatever, and basically all of that stuff, which played well among conservatives. The fact is that actually the president, like it or not, has echoed some of Cosby's talking points in terms of self-improvement in the African-American community, but Giuliani conveniently forgets that and, of course, thinks that just because he raped a few people doesn't mean that, or a lot of people, doesn't mean that Bill Cosby didn't have wise things to say about Black complicity in Black crime. So, okay, now, also he said, I hate to mention it. This is what Giuliani said. I hate to mention it because of what happened afterwards. And as Solana and others have pointed out, that he also hated to mention. He said, I know this is a horrible thing to say. I do not believe that this president loves America. Well, I do not believe that Rudy Giuliani loves anything except Rudy Giuliani. Why this man is still in the public eye, pathetic, forgotten, fading figure, getting rich off the human tragedy that was 9/11, tragedy that he might arguably have made much worse by his own actions before that took place, is inexplicable to me. Perhaps a conservative can tear himself away from lying to researchers long enough to explain to me why anybody should care what this man has to say. Now, in other news of bad people doing well, I'm going to reverse that book, Why Do Good Things Happen to Bad People, and write a book called Why Do Bad Things Happen to Good People. Former JP Morgan executive Blythe Masters joins a Bitcoin-related startup. Now, JP Morgan executive and Bitcoin are two phrases I hate to hear together because I think that Bitcoin has been used for tragic purposes. I think it's, unless you were in very early, you're an idiot to invest in it. It is now the technology could be interesting and used for interesting purposes, but I'd rather not entrust that technology to Blythe Masters, who is so many have credited as being the inventor of the credit default swap or other derivatives that helped ruin the economy. But maybe that's just me. The CEO of UBS, the bank, has been given a 5% raise because even though the bank has been fined more than $1 billion for illegal fraudulent behavior, but then why shouldn't he get that raise? They were fined less than they made in money from these frauds. The SEC chief, Mary Jo White, defended her agency's handling of bank punishment, which is essentially non-punishment, and on and on and on it goes. Now, if I were a conservative, I would be depressed to admit it, but then maybe that's what that study is really telling us. That's it for this week. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back next week. I'm Richard RJ Eskow, and this is The Zero Hour.